Okay, good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? So, today I want to talk about the importance of communities. Oftentimes, I've wondered why certain ethnic groups tend to succeed more than the others. Like, for example, you look at the Indians, the Chinese, Pakistanis, and those um, people from the east most of the time, and you wonder why wherever they go, they tend to grow and dominate within a few years of being there. And most of the time, you wonder why most Africans that travel abroad usually don't produce the same set of results. And it's been something that has been very puzzling to me. And, I started doing a research into why this is, and I observed that wealth is created in communities. In other words, it is easier for a community to produce wealthy people than for individuals to show up from nowhere. Now, that does not mean that individual hard work does not matter, but what it means is that it takes a community to produce massive wealth. And that is why, if you check most of the um, billionaires in the world today, you will notice that they have produced multiple millionaires who, of course, in some way have been able to produce wealth on a massive scale. So there's always a community involved in every wealth creation process. And this means that because in Africa we always say that we are very communal. In other words, we like to live in communities. We love to be communal in our dealings and all of that. But most of the time, this communal perception doesn't show in our output. So then you begin to wonder what is communal about um, our setup if we still tend to not be able to create wealth, and that is why, of course, as you can see in Africa, poverty has been perpetuated from generation to generation. And, out of curiosity, I observed, okay, so because I happen to be close to a Brazilian family that are living in Europe, and I observed that in the group of friends, almost all the people in that chain, friends, cousins, always come through the same channel. So, for example, one person comes in, creates a welcoming environment, and then every other person that comes in flows through that same passage. So they come in, maybe stay there for 3 6 months till they find their feet, and then from there they move on to their own places. And when you see the caliber of people in that setting, in that community, you begin to wonder, why can't we do the same as Africans, especially as Nigerians? And the answer is very obvious to many of us, which means that, so I've always said that I do not think the Nigerians love themselves. There's that silent competition that is always there when several Nigerians meet in a place. One is trying to overshadow the others, or show that, okay, I have more money, or I have more position, or I have more this or more that. And because of that, there is that silent rivalry going on that makes it difficult for people to come together to effect change or create wealth or do big things together. And I don't know if the next generation is going to do it differently, but I also think that maybe growing up in a trust deficient environment may have played a part, because you only build communities by trust, right? And if by now we don't have that trust element, because even in your family they're telling you to be wary, to be careful of your siblings, of your uncles, and you wonder, okay, if we are careful of people who are supposed to be on our side and help us, then what about strangers? How am I going to trust strangers? And this is a major issue that needs to be tackled, right? Because we need to turn that around. If we're going to create any meaningful change in the world, we need to begin to see ourselves as a family, for example, I and a few people created a community some years back, and Alpha Training Lab is one of the foremost self-empowerment groups in Nigeria. And we observe that after a while, when people come in, struggling, and then, make something for themselves, they tend to disappear or stop being part of the community, stop contributing to the community. And then you wonder how you imagine, but when they're in trouble, they run back to the community for help. And you wonder whether these people really understand the big picture, which is the fact that everybody counts. When you're coming and struggling and people rally around you to help you rise, and then you rise and you abandon the ship, that tells you the kind of mindset that most people have. And if you want to succeed long term, I would say that you need a community that is like minded, people that are thinking in the same way, trying to create the same, kind of impact in the world. And that is a key to creating the wealth that you're seeking. But if you often think that you need to run away when you are okay, then I think you need to check yourself, because it means that you're going to put a cap to how high you can rise. And that is why I believe that everybody that's part of a community that is working should do their best to expand and make that community better, right? I'm sure I'm talking to you, you know yourself, you know the community you're in, whether it's in church, whether it's at work, whether it's anywhere for that matter, your impact must be felt, which means you must contribute to the betterment of that community one way or another, right? So I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you for listening, and catch you some other time.